Greetings, YouTube. At the time of the recording, it's going into Easter weekend, which got me thinking about things religious. And my mind turned to the Rapture. Now, lots of people believe in the Rapture. And I just like to point out right off the bat that the Rapture has nothing to do with the Christian Bible. Nothing at all. But it's a pervasive and prevailing idea, particularly in America. And by the strictest definition of the Rapture, only 144,000 people will be saved. Everybody else is screwed. Which is interesting, of course, because lots of denominations, not just Christianity as a whole, but lots of denominations that are very much adherent to this concept have way more than 144,000 members. So it always makes me wonder, do they draw lots? But I thought about it for a second. If you lost 144,000 people, even if you were entering into a new religious age, that isn't going to have a huge impact on Earth. Unless it really is the end times, which, again, not part of the Bible. So, let's turn it on its head. A reverse rapture. Now, you could just do 144,000 people survive, and say they were evenly distributed across the planet. If you did that, it could be a lot of lonely people, because there are going to be a lot of places where no one survives, and a lot of places where only a handful can survive, and the number is so low that that could be a bottleneck that wipes out the entire species. Also, isn't that interesting for me? So I thought I'd put a little twist on this. Instead of just saying it's a reverse rapture planetary, we're going to say it's by each nation. So, each nation, and I think there's 188 nations. I could be wrong. The exact number varies on a regular basis. It also varies on how you define a nation and whose definition you go by. But we're just going to play with the 188. We can run it up to 190 if you want to. But the point is, there's about 190 nations. And each one will have 144 people survive. Now, in America, that works out to about 2,800 per state. But again, the distribution is not going to be even because some states have a whole lot more people like California, and some states have very few people like Montana. Or even New Hampshire only has we only have like 1.3 million, I think. So we don't have a whole lot of people here. But it's enough, I think, to keep certain things running. Now, what's interesting here is a lot of small nations, island nations, their populations completely survive. And even up to like Samoa and some of the larger ones like that, Aruba, a large hunk of their population is going to make it. Whole families will survive, as opposed to the rest of the planet where it's going to be families shattered. There's a very small chance that a husband and wife or children or siblings or anything like that are ever going to make it through this mystical bottleneck. And for example, everyone in the Vatican is going to survive. So, if that's the only supernatural event that happens, it's just that elimination of the bulk of humanity. 144 per nation. And in some cases, everyone, because there's less than 144,000 people in those places, like the island of Man, for example, which is considered to be a separate nation. That's interesting, because a lot of those people are going to see themselves as the chosen ones. All of us survived. There must be a reason with a capital R. And even the ones that have a large percentage make it are very likely going to think of themselves as chosen, particularly because the larger the country, the more advanced aspects they'll probably have. They'll have larger cities, more infrastructure, which means it'll be easier for them to maintain what they've got if half or even a quarter of their people make it. It'll be less of a bottleneck for them. That's still a lot of people. So our species won't disappear, but it's gonna be a major change. The demographics that we understand now are gone. It's gonna be a whole new day, literally. So we could just end there. It's a single event, gone. Island in the Sea of Time by Sterling. One event, Nantucket gets chucked into the past. That's the only event. From that point on, everything else is just relativistic. So we could do that. It's one event. All the rest of the people disappear. It's still relativistic from that point forward. Or we can throw in that this is more than just a singular supernatural event. What if it's part of a larger structure? Shadowrun was off by a bit. Magic has returned. And since I'm going to be slightly egotistical, we're going to say this event takes place on September 4th, 2015. My birthday. I am not predicting I would survive this. And quite frankly, if my wife doesn't make it, I don't know if I'd want to. But, what happens? What kind of supernatural event is it? Is it out of the fictitious biblical connection? Or did someone who wrote those things just happen to get lucky and pick that number? Or is that number somehow mystically tied to humanity on a deeper level and it just arose? Why was it 144,000? What does that mean? And is the television show 4400 have any relationship to the number 144,000? I just thought of that. I never watched the series, but I know it exists. Maybe there was a connection. I don't know. But what kind of mystical events? Is it full-blown magic, D&D magic spells? Is it more World of Darkness? Is it more psionics? Is it a mix like Shadowrun has? It's different specific traditions. What do you think would be most interesting? What do you think would drive the most intriguing stories? And as also, which engine do you think would be best at running this particular concept? This is just an idea. I literally had it 2 days ago, so I've just been playing with it in my head. So I thought it'd be intriguing. In fact, I even brought it up to my therapist. He thought it was kind of interesting. He agrees when I was talking about the fact that the Rapture has nothing to do with the Bible, because he's studied very much in depth many religious traditions in his pursuit of his doctorate in therapy. He's got an actual little mortarboard doctor in front of his name. So he studied this extensively. He traveled extensively in the Middle East and been to a lot of the Holy Lands and things like that. So he's very well versed in these things. So tell me, what system would you use? What kind of magic would you use? Or would you want to play it as a single one-off event and have it be relativistic from that point forward? And in that case, what modern system would you want to run with this? I haven't really given any thought to which particular magic system. I'm a big fan of Pathfinder's psionic system, so I think it might be intriguing for me if the psionic system was the one that would be used. And I haven't looked at a lot of modern Pathfinder. I know there are some modern Pathfinder rules out there. I may have one on my hard drive for some bundle I bought as a charity thing, but I'm not positive. But if anybody else out there knows of a Pathfinder modern rule set that they like, tell me. I'd like to know. So let's talk, people. What would you do in the reverse Rapture?